Hi, my name's George. My dad and I are like best friends. He's been single for a while, and so it's just us, living alone in our 5-bedroom bungalow in the suburbs. We often go on weekly adventures somewhere. Sometimes we'd go to the lake house. Other times, we'd head upstate to his best friend's farm, where we hike and camp in the mountains. My favorite trip yet was when he rented a huge boat and we sailed across the Atlantic and ended up in Spain. I'm his only kid, so I'm a bit spoiled. I can have whatever I want, eat whatever I want, and go wherever I want with anybody I wish. That's been the case since forever, until my stepmom arrived at the scene. Celia is probably the most annoying grown woman to have ever existed. She's always talking, and her voice is about as annoying as they come. She didn't really help herself either by having the worst first impression possible as a new stepmom. On the day my dad introduced her to me, she called my nose large and ordered me around like a servant.
Well, what are you waiting for, boy? Take my luggage and put them in your father's, my room. Now, be sure to be careful about my furs. They're antique. Your dad got them for me as a gift, so be careful and keep your greasy nose away from my chocolates. They're imported directly from Belgium. Ugh, you look just like your father. I don't know if I'll ever get used to seeing that large nose.
Celia was meaner than a junkyard dog. She'd bark orders on the daily and hurl insults at me as if it was her favorite pastime. She'd always wanted me out of the house, always looking for excuses to send me away. She even convinced my dad to send me to a military camp for the summer. I hated every second of it, especially since I love going on holidays with my dad. One day, Celia got in her head that I should leave home. Permanently. She pestered Dad about it endlessly, telling him that I was spending way too much, and that raising me cost way more than it cost to raise an average kid. The truth was that Celia was not interested in saving Dad's money. She only wanted the money he spent on me to be spent on her instead.
If you don't get rid of that leech, I'm leaving you. You have to choose. Me, the woman who adores you and makes you happy, or a spoiled, annoying, large-nosed moocher of a brat. Choose!
Dad was not torn at all. He loved his only son more than anyone else in the world. I was sure of it. I knew he was going to leave Celia. But the thing is, even though Celia was horrible, Dad seemed happy around her. I don't know what he sees in her, but he's been smiling a lot. So I didn't want him to choose me. That was why I made the choice for him. I packed my things and I left in the middle of the night. I left him a letter on his bedside table. And that was how I started living on the streets. I had a mission. I wanted to find my mom. I knew she was still in the same state. I just didn't know where. So I hopped on a bus and I hitchhiked all over the place, begging on the sidewalks or shining people's shoes whenever I needed money. Sure, I had some of my prized possessions with me, but I never wanted to part with the stuff my dad bought for me. I must have been out in the cold for a month when I finally got a lead. And when I followed that lead, it led me to an estate so big, I couldn't see the house from the street. The front yard alone was about the size of a football field, and the driveway was probably a mile long. When I got there, Mom hugged me and welcomed me home. She fussed over me daily, and that was how my sisters began to envy me. She had 6 other daughters. Molly, Sasha, Alex, Tony, Bree, and Taylor. Every single one of them hated me. At school, they'd spread rumors about me. Whenever I'd start dating someone, they'd ruin my relationships by telling my current girlfriend that I was cheating on them. They even told my teachers that I always cheated on tests. I became known in school as Cheating George, and when we graduated from college, they would use their network of friends to block me from getting any opportunities or getting the jobs I applied to. They didn't hide their disdain for me either. They would talk smack about me behind my mom's back and in front of her.
You know, he's just here because he wants our inheritance, right? Yeah, why does he even live here? Doesn't he have a dad?
Yeah, go back to where you came from, gold digger.
He came all the way here to steal what's rightfully ours. And he stinks. And he's taking up space. I wanted the room you gave him for my designer bag collection.
When Mom saw what my sisters were doing to me, she took pity, and she hired me to be her assistant. Every day I worked alongside her. Seeing how the business was run, I learned everything from her. And when she finally retired, she called us all into a room with her lawyers.
I've decided that you all have been given all the privileges most people can only dream of. You have great lives and have benefited from the best schools. You have everything you could ever ask for. So, I don't think you need any more money. I have instead decided to donate my life's work, all my fortune, to several charities of my choosing.
The room erupted with shrieks and yells.
What? Excuse me? I've worked so hard so I can be the top daughter and inherit your money. All 10 billion of it? Can't we just keep at least $1 billion each?
Except George, of course. You can give a share to charity.
Yeah, he doesn't get to have a single cent. I already put down a down payment for a villa in France. And I told my friends I was going to give them all a ticket to Coachella.
When I didn't complain, Mom looked at me and asked if I had anything to add. No, Mom, it's your money. And besides, I think giving it all to charity is a noble act. I'm really proud of you, Mom. That was when Mom nodded to her lawyers and she continued.
That was a test, and you all failed. Except for George. So from now on, he will be the sole heir to my fortune and assets. George will run my business, seeing as he is the only one with the experience. I have given all of you chances to work for me, but you all declined. All you girls wanted to do was live the high life without consequences. Except George. I've cut off all your credit cards. I'm leaving George in charge of everything. It's time I took a good long vacation. I have an island in Spain waiting for me.
After Mom left, my sisters begged me to give them jobs, so when I put up my dream restaurant, I hired them as waitresses. Unfortunately, Taylor started stealing from the cash register, and the rest were so bad at their jobs, often just texting or playing Candy Brush on their phones. One day, Celia walked in and demanded to see me.
Your dad's gone crazy and kicked me out!
Sounds like a you problem. Seeing it as an opportunity, my treacherous sisters befriended Celia and let her stay at our home. I told them not to, but they just ignored me and snuck her in anyway. What's worse was that a week later, there were several random people living there too. Celia had moved her friends in. They had wild parties every night, often causing sleepless nights for me and the maids. And when I tried to kick her and her friends out, they refused, claiming they had squatters' rights, and my sisters all supported her. One night while I was sleeping, Celia snuck into my room and brought a priest. She married me while I was asleep and made me sign a piece of paper while she guided my hand. I learned she did this because she wanted a piece of the money. It was a totally hair-braided scheme, and my lawyers got it thrown out in court. Meanwhile, my sisters were taking photos and videos of the chaos at home and sending it to the paparazzi, telling everyone how the most influential and richest family in town was descending into anarchy under my leadership. Even the sham wedding with Celia got out too and got people talking. When Dad saw it in the news, he called me warning me about her being a gold digger. Yeah, big surprise, eh? What surprised us all was when one day the door to the mansion burst open and we all found Mom standing there, huffing as if she'd just run a mile. She was so mad.
I saw the headlines. What is going on here?
And just as she arrived, Dad ran up the steps too and soon came up behind Mom. I've been looking for Celia for weeks. I called my lawyer. I'm here to take you to court for the money you stole from me. It took a few hours, but I was finally able to catch Mom up on what her daughters had been up to and how Celia became their weapon in the whole mess. She had always trusted me 100%, and so she took my word for it, even though my stepsisters denied everything. They still envy me, Mom. They want me to fail. That's why they keep sabotaging the family. It was then that I saw Mom and Dad exchange a loving look with each other. I could see it in their eyes that they believed I was the man they raised me to be. We're proud of you, son.
I'm sorry I left you with all this mess. Let me fix it.
Mom threw out all the squatters and kicked Celia to the curb, and to my stepsisters, she turned and frowned.
You're all of an age now. You don't need to live here. Why don't you all go and see your broke dad who lives in the trailer park? Maybe you can live with him. I'm done with your whining. I'm remarrying George's dad.
I just realized I still love him. Dad moved in with us, and we were a happy family again. I continued to run the family business. This time, I was the only child again. But not spoiled anymore. I became a hustler, and I took the business we had to a whole new level.